I want to say this ahead of time. I'm trying to do this without any interference from Saya. She's awful at this, and will only slow us down. However, akin to the heat death of the universe, or like stubbing your toe you already stubbed, the gremlin cat showing up is inevitable. With that warning out of the way, we can start. Our objective today is to review the RX 580 and how it holds up in early 2025. Is this 8GB VRAM GPU still worth buying? That is what we are here to find out. Get excited, people. Whoa! The RX 580. A graphics card before my time, but remembered fondly as a pro gamer moment for AMD. There are a lot of these GPUs floating around, especially on the used market. And if you are brave enough to overpay $80 plus for one of the 2048 SP versions, you can get an old, used, brand new GPU, where Chinese engineering meets, oh God, why does this exist? But if modded out RX 570s that were most definitely mined on do not excite you, there is always eBay, where there is a plethora of probably mined on actual RX 580s for your convenience. I was able to pick one of these real 580s for $50. Well, $62 with shipping and tax included, but still. And to be honest, I actually did want to try out one of the RX 580 2048 SPs from AliExpress, but I could not justify the price versus just buying an actual RX 580 with way better stats and much cheaper, and without having to face any judgmental stares from customs as to why I bought this thing. So I picked up my most probably mined on RX 580, and it was a very dirty boy. It was missing a fan sticker, which either leads me to believe a fan was replaced, or it spun so fast and was used so much the sticker had to go get milk from the store to reward the GPU for all its hard work. It will come back one day. I like to think so anyways. Opening up the graphics card revealed the most dirty PCB I have ever seen. There must have been dust in this thing from the great GPU depression of the early 20s. The thermal pads had also collected their own fair share of, oh God, I feel like I should be wearing a mask again. And the thermal paste looked dry and crackly and angry to be disturbed. So, I cleaned up the PCB and every part of this GPU and applied new thermal pads and thermal paste. But I was not done, for you see, I also painted the GPU pink and added a cinnamon roll sticker to the fan that was missing its own. It turned out way better than I could have imagined, and now I have the only RX 580 Pink Nitro Plus Cinnamon Roll Edition. To fully complement my new GPU, I had to put together a new computer, but only the finest of parts would do. But I also did not have a lot of money, and now I have less. So what did I do, you ask? Wait for it, wait for it. If you guessed a mix of AliExpress, eBay, and Amazon, you would be correct. I bet none of you even tried to guess. Ugh, it's like I'm talking to myself out here. Whatever. For the CPU and the motherboard, I went to AliExpress. The Ryzen 5 5600 for $70 is a steal, and it will complement the RX 580 well. The motherboard is an AM4 ITX B350i+, and if you can get past the Chinese BIOS, nothing will stop you. Do not worry, you can switch it to English. Oh, and that's right, I am going for an ITX build because nothing says budget build like ITX parts. That was sarcasm, by the way, I am being sarcastic. ITX parts are notoriously more expensive, especially for motherboards and the power supplies, and sometimes the cases, and basically every other part. At least the AliExpress Chinese motherboard costs $60 or so. What a bargain! For the RAM, well, I had an extra 16GB kit of 3200 MHz DDR4 RAM, so that saved me some, although I would have preferred 32GB. Oh well, at least the RAM kit is white. I bought the PSU used off of eBay for $90. Even used ITX power supplies hurt the pockets, but it is 850 watts, so I can use it in the future for more powerful builds. For everything else, I just summoned Jeff Bezos by imagining my credit card, and the PC was ready to build. I named the computer, the Calico, on the account of all its parts coming from different sources. The PC cost around $500, but could have most certainly been cheaper if I did not build for ITX. Oh, by the way, I ended up going with a different case than planned, and this case was actually Micro-ATX. So I could have gotten cheaper, or some regular-sized parts and saved money. Smiley face. After finishing almost all the testing, benchmarks and data collection, I realized that at some point through unplugging and plugging in the PC to move it around, or for reasons unknown, the motherboard BIOS had reset, meaning that my RAM was no longer overclocked to 3200 MHz. This means that my tests were not done at the computer's full power, and that is unacceptable. I am not sure how far into testing this occurred, but my analytical detective powers were in full swing. How did I find this out, you may ask? Well, my second clue that this had occurred was the fact that the BIOS was back in Chinese. Stronger yet was my first clue, which was checking the RAM speed in Task Manager. I wanted to double-check it since I had been moving the PC around so much and wanted to make sure all my settings were still Gucci. They were, in fact, not Gucci at all. I am glad I noticed, but I cry. Rocket League ran very well on this card, although the 580 was getting pretty warm, reaching up to 74 to 75 Celsius. That is the highest temps I have noticed yet. The default fan curve on this GPU can sometimes leave much to be desired, but that being said, even with poor fan curves, the GPU does not reach worrying temps. Either way, it is an easy fix by setting a custom fan curve. I tested one, and the GPU ran very cool, but was slightly louder because of it. I am not overly concerned with the temps, and since the stock curve keeps noise levels down, I just left it alone. That being said, limiting the frames in Rocket League and enabling VSync, the temps dropped to around 63C. So, it really was a non-issue. Overall, I would give the RX 580 a passing score for Rocket League. For World of Warcraft, the RX 580 handles medium-high settings wonderfully, which on WoW is 7 out of 10 on the graphic setting scale. You will of course take some performance hits in the main cities or busy areas, but WoW is not very optimized and can be heavily CPU dependent, so we won't mark down the RX 580 for that. Even my 4090 can take big hits in these areas. There can also be some FPS loss in raids, but far less so than from cities. I had no issues raiding with this GPU. Once again, the 580 provided an enjoyable gaming experience. And it should also be noted that we are running on higher settings, so you could always drop to medium and still have the game look nice and provide additional FPS performance. Oh, and how could I forget the most important test, zooming into a rock? Ah yes, look at that FPS go, another passing score for the RX 580. Oh right, the highest temps I saw in WoW was 72 Celsius. I guess that's important too, I guess. With Fortnite, the RX 580 continues to impress. I let the game choose my default settings, and I was put around medium graphics and the anti-aliasing to TSR low. With these settings, the game looked fine and we saw well over 100 FPS. I did not notice any issues with performance or frame stuttering. It was an enjoyable gaming experience. When I set the anti-aliasing to TSR Epic and the resolution to native, the game looked amazing, but FPS did take some hits. With these settings, we got around 55-60 FPS. You could definitely find a happy medium between better looks and more performance, but that will be up to your own preference and PC specs to figure that out for yourself. With all that being said, the RX 580 games on Fortnite. I would recommend this GPU if you are a Fortnite gamer on a budget, but still want solid performance and looks. What to say for Cyberpunk? The RX 580 can run it, but it has no ray tracing. Yes, that is right. There is no ray tracing on this GPU. Pack it up, it's done. The RX 580 has failed, as it cannot perform this amazing feat of technological triumph. That was, of course, sarcasm. As flaunted as ray tracing is as a technology, especially for some green graphic cards, most cards just suck at running it. Unless you have a 4080 or above, you can say you have a card that can do ray tracing, but do you really? That shade being thrown aside, when the RX 580 came out, ray tracing did not exist yet. That was to come later, in 2018. The 580 came out in 2017. Alas, it was just not meant to be. All that being said, Cyberpunk is a mixed bag of performance with its various settings and frame generation and resolution scalings. You can definitely find a balance between performance and looks on the 580, but for higher settings the card can struggle a bit. This one is so subjective, and it is hard to give it a passing mark, since what some may be fine with, others will scoff at. So I will do this. I will display all the benchmark statistics with the different settings, and you all can decide for yourself. How exciting! Overall, to say I have been impressed is an understatement. I have been able to play all the games I enjoy on decent settings with solid FPS, all for $60. That is insane to me. Heck, I have even had a better time streaming with the 580 than I did on the Intel Arc A770 for $300. Spoiler, but I will be releasing another video about using the RX 580 as a content creator. Stay tuned for that. Right, as I was saying, the RX 580, in my opinion, continues to be a strong pickup in 2025. Budget or not, this GPU has earned its place not only in my Calico PC build, but as a GPU I can both recommend and am glad to own. I do not know the history of my GPU before I owned it, but it is mine now, no takesy-backsies. If you are building a gaming PC on a budget, if you are an enthusiast doing a build for fun, or if you just have money to spend, I would recommend to you the RX 580. And on a personal note, my GPU is pink, and that is fantastic. Ooh. Well, it looks like we got through all that without any interference from Sire. Oh, for f***'s sakes, we were so close, so close. Why did I have to say anything?
I have arrived, and I'm here to help. I have so much to add to this. You're welcome.
What could you possibly have to add to this wonderful Sire-free video, besides ruining it with your gremlin presence?
I will show you. Follow me to the benchmark. Furmark. Yeah, so as you can see here, the fur benchmarks. We got this at 1080p and some other stuff, I'm not really sure. But you can see there's a giant furry thing on the screen, circling. I will fast forward to the end, and we'll see our score. And here is our score. You might ask yourself, is this a good score? And honestly, I don't know. If we look at the chart, another RX 580, we beat the shit out of this one and a few others. Hooray! Our RX 580 is the best hands down, no question. And honestly, I can't believe you missed out. That's kind of an insult to the pink Sapphire NITRO Plus Cinnamon Roll Edition. No.
Well, I will concede that you did add something to this video. It is still up for debate if it was a positive something, but oh God, I need a drink.
Positive.
I hate it here.
Well, you really like me, right?
No.
He says that all the time, but he loves me. True story.
No.
Don't just say no.
No.
Say something else.
No.
I command you to say something else.
No.
You're not very nice.
No. Oh, for f***'s sakes, we were so close, so close. Why did I have to say anything?
Because I'll do whatever the f*** I want, robot, alright?